Hey everyone, this is John Schwabish from policyviz.com, another dataviz critique. This one on triangles. Are triangles one of the most underutilized shapes in data visualization? Let's find out. I'm going to start here with this really cool post from the Capital Weather Gang at the Washington Post on the drought in the West Coast. Reservoirs are drying up. Let's get down to the main visualization here. We've got a map of California using, that's right, inverted triangles. I really like this visualization. I think it's super fun. I think it really gives you a sense of that sort of funnel of things empty versus filled up. Now, I had a little bit of a Twitter discussion with a bunch of people. I'll put a link to that Twitter discussion on the show notes for this little video. Not everybody feels the same way. Some people find this a little hard to read. I mean, it is certainly true that looking at this 35% full, if we look down here for Lake Mead, that because the triangle works in the geometry of a triangle works differently than, say, a bar, that this 35% is not actually going to be, the height is not going to be 35 units, as it were, up as the way it would be in a bar chart. So it's kind of interesting to think about how do we read these particular triangles and comparing the area between the two. And you can see here for some of the larger ones, they've actually labeled these. So it does become easier to figure out that the Shasta Reservation, I would say 37% full. What is this? This isn't even labeled. I don't know how much is in there, but again, do I need that as a casual reader? Probably not. I don't really think I need that. I just think this is a really smart, fun visualization using triangles. So let's take a look at some other triangle visualizations, also from the Washington Post. This is back. I'm just going to scroll up so you can see the whole thing. This is back from November of 2016, after the 2016 presidential election. We saw lots of these types of maps of swings in the congressional districts. But let's zoom back down. Here we've got triangles, and the height is the total number of votes cast, and the width is the margin in net votes. So you can see you get, now obviously, the interesting thing about this map, and we're not going to go into all of it, is they rotated the map, right? So we've got Maine up here and Florida down here, and the West Coast is at the bottom. We're not going to talk about that. It's a totally other visual to discuss. But we're using triangles here, and you get an interesting perspective on the data that maybe you just don't get when you look at a choropleth map or even a cartogram of the data. Let's take a look at some other triangles. This one is shared by Michael Friendly on Twitter. This is, I think, more of kind of a diagram. I don't really know where this came from, so I don't have a lot of information about this, but we're looking at these sort of three different nodes, these three different measures, and we could put these different graphs along these three different axes. So I like this idea of using these three axes in the shape of a triangle, as opposed to what perhaps many of us try to do, which is sort of create that XYZ axis, and that Z becomes the three dimensions. So this is an interesting approach that I think perhaps many of us can use in our work when we want to show these three relationships or these three metrics in the same space. I've got two more for you. Now this one was also shared on Twitter. Now this one has your standard bar chart, but instead of using bars, it's using triangles. And I've always thought that I've used this approach. I will be honest, I've used this approach, but I've always thought that this is maybe not the best approach, because I'm going to scroll down so you can see some more of these, because it is a little unclear. Are we reading this by the area or by the height? But again, always have to consider the audience here, right? If this was being published in an academic journal article, probably going to use a bar chart here. Don't need the sort of different triangle shape to draw people's attention, draw them in to the visualization. I do love just this little legend down here at the bottom. I think it's just like just subtle and gray, and at the bottom just really smart. Let me give you one more. This one is an oldie but a goodie, looking at a trivariate cartogram, trivariate choropleth map. I'll put links to all of these up. I'll just zoom in here. You can see that we have age older than 65, age 15 to 64, age 0 to 14. It's a little bit of a challenge here. You need to get your head around this before you can go into the map and figure out what's going on in these different areas of Europe. But I think once you get that, the color scheme is really well done. The annotation here is really well done, although it's a lot of annotation. But I think once you get your head around this, this has some potential. I think there's some further development that would need to be used or worked on to make these more common. But this is certainly, taking that choropleth map. We've seen lots of those. We've seen more and more bivariate choropleth maps over the past year or so, and now we have this trivariate choropleth map. I think there's some advantage there and some things to talk about. So I'm going to go all the way back to that reservoir visualization. I think it's great. I really enjoy it. I think a lot of other people do. And I think the triangle may be one of those underutilized shapes in data visualization. And maybe we should explore both in the practitioner area of the field, how to use triangles more, and also in the research field. Are triangles an effective way to communicate data? So take a look at the links below. I'll put links to all of this, including the Twitter feed. So please subscribe to this channel to learn more about data visualization. This is John Schwabish from policyviz.com.